Hi, everybody. Welcome to AI Odyssey. My name is Jeffrey Colon, Director of Access Technology. So, welcome for those that are joining us in person, and welcome to those that are joining us on Zoom. Today, we will present the first of 5 workshops related to AI, evolution of AI everywhere, and finishing with autonomous vehicles. So this is a journey and welcome to it. So we're so excited to have you all here, and we will start by talking about our presenter today will be Fernando Macias. And Fernando Macias is one of our access technology specialists here at the Lighthouse. Fernando has been working for us for like 80 years. No, it's just 3. And but he was so happy to be with you all, and he will be talking about the evolution of AI, how that we started, and where we are now, and where we are going in the future. So, with that, I will leave you all with Fernando.
Hello, everyone. This is Fernando Macias. I'm an access technology specialist, like Jeffrey said, here at the Lighthouse, been here since 2022. Very excited to get started with this very amazing topic and very relevant topic, that is artificial intelligence. And we want to start talking about a topic we call AI. Give me 1 second. We're calling it AI Insight, and this is where we're going to start the topic. Again, like Jeffrey said, this is a topic, this is the first of 5 workshops, all of which will take they'll take place over the span of the next few months, and we will be culminating with a very exciting workshop on autonomous vehicles. So we encourage everyone who's joined us today to join us for the rest of the workshops, and also to spread the word and let people know that we're having these workshops so that we could have more people join us in the future. Before we get started, I'd like to cover a couple of different housekeeping rules. So first thing is, this meeting is being recorded. So just want to let everyone know about that.
You will be on YouTube.
You will be on YouTube. This is going to be uploaded to our YouTube page, to our social media. So you are being recorded as of the start of this meeting. If you are not comfortable with being recorded, you can absolutely feel free to leave the meeting, or if you don't want your picture to be shown, you can turn off your video as well. So that is the first thing I want to cover. Yeah, so with that, let's get. Yeah, so and a little bit about let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about here is kind of the structure of the presentation. So we're going to have a 45-minute discussion in which I will be talking to you, and Jeffrey will be talking to you about a couple of the evolution of artificial intelligence, of AI, starting with stuff that we didn't, even call AI. We called it different things, but at the end of the day, that's what it is: artificial intelligence. We used to call it machine learning and things of that nature. But then we will also have a panel discussion in which a couple of us will be on a panel answering a few questions, kind of giving our thoughts. And after that, we will open it for Q&A. Anyone who's on Zoom, anyone who's in person can go ahead and ask questions or make comments in relation to the topic. So that is the structure of our event. Those who are in person There's refreshments here in person for those who are in person, and they are available for you at the beginning or at the end of the conference.
Which bring me to the next point. So if you are, and this is Jeffrey speaking, for the next ones that we will have, if you live in the Bay Area and you want to join, you are on Zoom right now, you are more than welcome to do so. We will have refreshments, we'll have snacks, and just like today. So you're more than welcome to join us in the next installments on this one, which will be announced very soon. But I can let you all know that the next one will be on December 12th. So that's a first day. So same time on Thursday, December 12th.
All right. So to begin, I'd like to go back way back into the early 1900s. So, like I mentioned in the beginning, AI is not new per se. So what we now call it artificial intelligence, but this goes back as far as even the early 1900s, back as far as even the 1920s. People have been dreaming about computers being able to mimic humans, basically. And this goes back into, as far back as Frankenstein, for example, back in the 1920s. And that's back in the 1920s, 1930s is when the concept of the word robot was coined, way back in those days. So this goes back that far, back into the 1920s and 30s. This is definitely a part of science fiction. So this is basically AI now is what we now see as AI was science fiction back in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s and stuff like that. So there is this individual by the name of Alan Turing, and he was an individual that was a pioneer in artificial intelligence, and he really set the standard for what is or how to determine if computers. So one of the things is artificial intelligence is the idea that computers can mimic humans. They can mimic processing, thought processing, and things of that nature. So Alan Turing developed this thing called the Turing test. And basically, Alan Turing posed a question, and the question was, can computers think? Right. So this was a question that he posed. And basically, he came up with a test that was designed to see if computers could exhibit human thinking abilities. And then at this point is when it became more than a fantasy. It became the grounds for computer science and a topic of study amongst computer scientists and things of that nature. So let's talk a little bit about early innovations here. So let's talk a little about the Turing test. So what is the Turing test? The Turing test is, could computers basically in a convincing way mimic human expression, right? So if you were to interact with a computer, would you be able to tell if it's a human or if it's a robot, if it's a computer itself? So the point at which computers are able to mimic or the if you can't tell, right, if it's a computer or a person speaking or typing back at you, then that is when you reach this concept called artificial intelligence or the singularity, right? So the minute a computer is able to mimic human expression to the degree that it is impossible to tell if it's a human or a computer speaking, is when you've reached uh, artificial general intelligence and the singularity. So and we are absolutely not close to that at all. But that is basically what the Turing test is, and there's many ways to test that. But we are nowhere near that. But in this day and age, that is basically what these AI companies are striving towards.
Especially the mention, especially that word, right? I think that what strives where we are right now, the word like the singularity effect.
And talking a little about the singularity, so there's someone by the name of Ray Kurzweil. Um, he is a pioneer in the field of artificial intelligence, and he's a futurist, and he's the one that's basically pioneered the concept of artificial general intelligence. Now, artificial general intelligence, that is basically an artificial intelligence, right? That is intelligent in any field. So it's able to talk mathematics. It's able to it's able to talk philosophy. It's able to basically it's intelligent in all fields. And again, that is more of a concept at the moment. That is not where we are today. But since around 2021 or so, um, these companies that are at the forefront of these very popular artificial intelligence models are working towards developing artificial intelligence that is able to do that. It's able to achieve intelligence in all different in many different fields at once. Because as it stands today, we do have machines that are pretty intelligent, that are able to carry out tasks that are very sophisticated and mimic humans in very, very convincingly, but only in very specific areas, right? So there are uh, artificial intelligence that are able to do mathematics very well. Uh, there are applications of artificial intelligence that are specifically designed for medicine and things of that nature. But uh, there is no artificial intelligence mechanism at the moment that is able to exhibit these qualities across different fields. And artificial general intelligence is the concept that there can possibly be an artificial intelligence in the future that is able to be an expert in more than one field. So that is what artificial general intelligence is. So one of the first areas in which artificial intelligence was used was in speech to text. So the concept of a machine being able to convert speech to legible text. And Kurzweil was very instrumental in being able to do that, or text to speech as well. So those are both areas that use artificial intelligence, and Ray Kurzweil pioneered in both of those areas. All right, so now let's talk a little bit about the journey towards automating human abilities. So this goes a little into robotics, right? So since around the 1970s, back when computers started to become powerful enough, we started to dream, humanity started to dream about automating human tasks, right? Doing things that humans had to do prior, but having robots do that. So that started around the 1970s. And this is where you started to see a lot of machines that were developed to do specific tasks, and you saw it, of course, um, in design and things of that nature. But these robots, up till this day, have been very specialized. So robots that are designed to do a specific task and do that task repetitively. So that all started around the 1970s and has continued through to this day. And at the same time, personal computing, right, was on the rise. Personal computing started in the 70s, around the 70s and 80s, and became available to the general public. So this is where computers started to become available to the average consumer. So then computers enabled automations for the average consumer as well. This is where there were some software design there's been some software that was designed back in those days to enable things that required machine learning, which is what it was called back at the time, which is essentially artificial intelligence, um, to automate things in the home or on the computer. And this is where a lot of software started to be developed that could, for example, take printed text and turn it into legible by a computer. So this is where optical character recognition began, for example, uh, which takes it basically requires machine learning to be able to recognize text and convert it into text that is legible by a computer. And of course, talking about automation becoming available to the general public much later in the 2010s around the 2010s is when we started to develop smart home technology, which is also it uses artificial intelligence and different metrics, right, um, it, to enable certain automations and things of that nature. So, I mean, we've come a very, very long way since the 70s and 80s when it came to automating, because automating in the 70s, 80s, and 90s really was limited to the factory floor and very specialized areas. But in the 2010s and onwards is when it became available to everybody, and you could automate more than just robots um, in a factory, but you could also automate things in your home. So, of course, it takes certain triggers and things of that nature, but it uses artificial intelligence to be able to automate such tasks. So I'd like to now shift to specific technologies that are in the access technology world, or specific technologies in the access technology world. So, um, in the 80s and 90s, really is when we started to see technology developed that enabled the streamlining and the ability for people who are blind or have low vision to make use of artificial intelligence or machine learning with certain soft programs that were designed to, back in those days, it was to basically convert printed text to digital text and things of that nature. Jeffrey, would you like to talk a little about the
Sure.
technology in those days?
Sure. Right, like if we go backward, if we go back to right late 70s, right? And you start and then you start seeing what was out there, the potentials, and then there is this famous conversation about, for example, Stevie Wonder, yes, the singer, he was one of the first uh, persons that will start working, start embracing the potential of different technologies. That, for example, there was a prototype in the 70s that was called the reading machine. And it was literally the size of the watching machine. It was huge. And he put that thing on a taxi and bring it to his house because some engineers wanted to work with him on this. And this when they started the project, and then we'll start seeing right 1984 the first season CSUN conference. By the way, um, oh sorry, 1985. So in 2005 it will be their 40th anniversary. So then we started to see him from the first days embracing what was technology, right? And starting to see that reading machine that was one of the first devices that has basically a component, a learning machine learning, a component that allows that using an image circuit to basically take a picture of that text and convert it into in that time was and then convert it into text. It takes like a minute. I think that it was even more. And then you start seeing that in the 90s there was a machine that reading urge, and they post these artificial intelligent voices, and then you scan the text and you put okay analyzing page one, and then you hear all of these sounds like going through the page with the info with the huge light like a thermophone copier, and then you wait to get the text announced of what was on that page, and then there was page blank, and then you have to try it again, wait 2 or 3 minutes, and that's what happened at the beginning of this. So it was complex, and then probably you try it again and you read the text, and sometimes was good, sometimes wasn't, right? And then we're starting to see late 90s some other softwares that came, and like for example open book and Coursewell, right? The Coursewell program that will use these machine learnings to read the text. And then all of the like blind people that work at college at that time will have to carry a probably a 20-pound computer with a 15-pound scanner, and then put it on the desk, and then press the button, and then open that computer, open work, press scan key to scan. You see, now it sounds a little bit better, right? It was in the one that we have in the 80s. Now it sounds like a person that needs to that have some missing teeth. So, and then you start seeing where the evolution of this, right? And start seeing devices, computers that blind, low vision users were starting seeing the development of having to wait 1 or 3 minutes to scan a text to now wait probably 50 seconds. It's still a lot, right? But and then but we start seeing more accuracy, right? And then we start seeing the use of artificial intelligence on text to speech and also to speech recognition. We start seeing other programs in other fields, right? That the primary use wasn't for people with disabilities, like for example, Dragon naturally at that time wasn't naturally speaking. At that time was called Dragon Dictate, and then you basically go in front of the computer, have to complete a training of like 5 to 6, read like 5 or 6 pages, and then you start dictating some lines, and then it recognized like 20% of what you said. That was what was like probably early like 2000s, right? 2005, and then another program via voice, and then we started to see some of these programs were able to be translated in other languages, so other cultures start contributing to this, right? and start seeing in Japan, start seeing in China, start seeing other places like multiple Spanish versions of JAWS, Spanish version of Open Book, and other languages, right? And we start seeing the movement, we start seeing the potential. Developers start seeing the potential of how can you use even a Windows phone at that time. There was some applications like we're talking about Symbian phones. Like now we're moving to like 2005, 2006. Like how they call that those Indian phones, and then the screen reader that was out there. There was an application created in combination with the National Federation of the Blind that then you can use it to read text and using just the camera of the phone at that time. And we start seeing the evolution. Then we come up um, in the right the 2012, 2013, and that's when we start seeing these movements going a little bit more and start seeing the evolution of those technologies and of course other disabilities, right? Using machine learning to track to use like combination with infrared to track, and basically a person that only can basically just can just move a little bit their eyes, right? They can start using a computer, and we start seeing how can you use the potential of technology to help, and we start seeing on medicine and others. So and then we get to basically the 2017 that Fernando will continue, that we were seeing that basically using now the term AI, right? Like seeing AI and start seeing other applications, and how that the movement continues to where it is now. So we can say completely, and we should be proud that people like blind, low vision, people with disabilities were using AI from the beginning, from 40, almost 40 years ago, and some form of it, right? So for us, this is not something new. This is something new that somebody has said, oh, now I see ChatGPT. Yeah, we're seeing this for a while. So for us, this is just something that allows us to dream, and that allows people to see the potential of where we are right now, and where we are going. So Fernando, that's a little bit of an overview of what is happening on the accessibility front.
Very, very good. Um, so back with really this coincides very much with the rise of the smartphone, what I'm going to talk to you about next. So like Jeffrey said, we in the blind and low vision community have been using AI in its different iterations since the beginning. And I believe that we should be very proud of it, and we should be very excited for the future as well, because it has very, very exciting implications for the future. So with the rise of the smartphone, right, the computing power of devices, computing power really increased and increased really exponentially, starting in the late 2000s, early 2010s, with the rise of the smartphone, with the iPhone and Android and things of that nature. So the concept of apps came about back in those days. And we really began to see that developers were able to harness the ability of um, computers to both process and interpret information very much close or almost simultaneously. And this is where we started to see the development of apps, for example, like Seeing AI and Be My, well, Seeing AI and Envision, which are applications that were released in 2017, 2018, respectively, and were able to use purely artificial intelligence. So this is stuff that was a dream, in the early 2000s, or sorry, the 90s or early 2000s. This is not something one could have imagined. But in uh, around 2017, 18, and even a little before, applications were able to, or developers were able to use artificial intelligence in a way that they could process information, interpret it all at or close to the same time with very, very low latency. and we're able to develop applications such as Seeing AI. And I'd like to talk a little bit about Seeing AI and Envision. So these applications were released close to each other in time, and these applications were really important in the development of AI for access technology or assistive technology, right? So there are applications that basically at any time of the day, any time of the night, you could use them to identify, say, currency, for example. Right before, there had to be specific currency readers, or you could identify colors, although not all that accurately, but you could. Um, you could identify text on a piece of paper on demand, right? You no longer had to use a scanner. You no longer had to use clunky technology. You could just use your smartphone for that. So, Seeing AI was released, and it was a very popular app since its inception, since it came out for the things that it was able to do. And it's not because it could do them accurately, but it's because at least it could do it. And it has really evolved significantly since then, right?
But more accurate, oh, see, okay, did I lose my mic? Can you hear me on Zoom? No, but
We are not able to hear you, Jeffrey.
okay, cool. Now I can hear you. Now I got it. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. All right. So, and now we see that. Um, oh, I lost my phone. We're talking about okay. Um, Forget it. No, we're saying that. Okay, accuracy. Yes, definitely. It's not perfect, but you don't have to wait 3 minutes. You got the picture now, and at least you understand the whole essence. The only thing that please be aware that if you're scanning your electricity bill, make sure that you put that to read a few times to make sure that that's the correct number. Okay, I don't want you to pay more to PG&E or other companies. Okay, so but yes, we see that like accuracy was it is much better now. We still have to go ways to go, but if we compare it to what we were before, wow.
There's a particular feature that actually very much exemplifies how much we've come, not only with accuracy, but with the use of language, right? Because, and talking still about Seeing AI, there is this feature in the app called scene recognition or scene. And basically, you take a picture of a scene and it gives you a description of what's in that image. But for a very long time, it would give you a very generic description of it. So it would, you take a picture of items on a desk, for example, and it would say things like multiple items on a desk, bottle and books and things of that nature. And it allowed, eventually it started introducing features where you could explore the image and things of that nature. But the description left a lot to be desired, right? It wasn't very accurate. It didn't tell you very much about what was going on with that. And still with seeing AI, that very feature nowadays, still, when you take that picture, it still gives you that same description that it used to in the past. But now you actually have the option of getting more information about it to say, hey, tell me more about this image. And when you do that, it gives you a very natural sounding description of what is in that image. It sounds like it's using a large language model, which is something we'll be talking about in a future one of our workshops. But it very much is very descriptive and gives you a lot of good information. And not only that, it actually is good enough to the point where it allows you to converse with it. It lets you talk with it and ask it more questions about that image. So that's just the evolution within the app Seeing AI. So it just showcases how much we've come, how far we've come since even around 2017. Um, so Seeing AI and Envision AI really have a lot of similar features and are very much examples of where are the capabilities of artificial intelligence nowadays. And really, they've been looking at the things they were able to do when they first released and looking at the features that they have nowadays really showcases how far we've come, how powerful computing is nowadays. And it gives us hope for the future, right? It's just exciting to see where we are, how far we've come, and just allows us to dream about what we could see in the future. I would also like to talk about another app, and that app is Be My Eyes, right? So Be My Eyes launched as an application that would connect the user with a volunteer, right? So, and it, for most of its existence, has exactly been that, right? You would open the app and communicate or connect directly via a video feed to a volunteer. And it had many other features, but always connected you to a human, right? Within the last couple of years, Be My Eyes partnered with the leading company in artificial intelligence, generative artificial intelligence models known as OpenAI. And they have a very, very popular chatbot that a lot of you may know as ChatGPT. And they partnered, so Be My Eyes partnered with OpenAI to give us a new feature that utilizes only artificial intelligence and conversational artificial intelligence, right? For many years, we've heard that you can use natural language to speak to artificial assistants and things of that nature, but that hasn't really been the case until the last couple of years. And the feature I want to talk about really in the app Be My Eyes is the Be My AI feature, which stands for Be My Artificial Intelligence. So it's a separate feature within the app that opens your camera and utilizes your camera feed and a direct link to ChatGPT to give you a description of an image. And I would like to demo that in a little bit, but first let me talk about it. So it uses it basically it combines the video, a picture you send, and or it doesn't combine it, sends it to OpenAI servers to ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT returns a very, very outstanding a description of whatever image you gave it. It, of course, is not instantaneous, and it very much needs a really good internet connection. But it is just so exciting to see what kind of descriptions you're able to get, and you know, from an image you send, and you could also have a conversation with the with ChatGPT within Be My Eyes. So it allows you to chat with the artificial intelligence, and it even lets you send it additional photos and things of that nature. It's very much interactive nowadays, and it understands natural language as more than ever nowadays. Still not perfect, but more than ever. You could misspell words and it'll still understand you. You could say something in a way that maybe isn't so clear, but it will take its best shot at answering your question. It is very forgiving. And that is really the best feature of it, that not only will it just give you that description from that initial photo you sent it, but you can have a conversation and have it clarify something or have it describe something in more detail, right? So now you're able to take a picture, for example, of a menu in a restaurant and say, I'd like to see the salad options. And then it'll just give you those salad options. Say, for example, it's in another language. You're able to use this feature along with ChatGPT to translate whatever text you're reading from a menu, for example, into a language you understand, say English, for example. So it's a very, very powerful feature that is available as of, a year or so ago, that is just showcasing how far we've come with artificial intelligence. And again, it's just really exciting to see or to imagine what a future will look like with even more powerful computing and things of that nature. Jeffrey, would you like to add to that?
I think this one died. Okay. No, I tried it. Okay, now you can hear me. Right. Um, yes, we're seeing these applications moving to more things, right? Like you said, reading the menus, even even in like Apple Intelligence. We are hearing that term, right? And seeing AI, where we are going. It is our opportunity to dream, right? Like Fernando says, having a non-speaking person that cannot speak English to read a menu on a restaurant and to order that menu by themselves. That's I don't even call that empower. I call that power. That give us the power, right? And the same for some things like generating tables, like having a program that I can say, okay, I need so, and that's talks about the way that we see, and we will talk a little bit about it on the panel today. But the way that I see this is that this allows for people that has multiple ways of learning to make sure to use those applications for that. Like for example, if the way that the way that you conceptualize something is through a table, then you can ask the application, can you generate me a table, a comparison of these two features that I'm looking at, or these TVs that I'm looking at, and the application will do it. Or if you needed to do it in the opposite way, can you give me a summary? Because you don't like to read the whole thing. Can you give me a summary of the characteristics of this TV? Then you can do it in that way. So it will adjust to the way that you learn. And this is very important because in the past, when we tried at this time, for the first time, it was taking a picture, reading the text, and you have to figure out, you have to learn computers, you have to learn how to type for now and now, or you have to learn how to work with the iPhone right now, take a picture, and not everybody will be able to do that. But the way that these technologies are heading, or where we are heading, is that we'll adjust to multiple ways or learning, or the capabilities of the user. So I think that that's more of the important things, and I'm basically doing the I'm basically doing the panel. So that's where we are.
Before we move on, can I get a time check?
Yes, you read my mind. 10 minutes.
10 minutes left. Okay. So I'd like to showcase a couple of the things that we're talking about, right? So I would like to begin with that app that we've been talking about quite a bit, Seeing AI. So I'm going to use another piece of artificial intelligence, a virtual assistant on my phone by the name of Siri, to open Seeing AI, and I will go ahead and also demonstrate a little bit of the power of the artificial intelligence within that app. So let me do that. Open Seeing AI. Watch it disregard. All right, there we go. Perfect. So one of the features that is very popular in this app is called a short text. It's one of those where you just point the camera at something, and if it sees text, it'll read it, even if it doesn't really understand it. So here we go. If you hear a bunch of reading of text that isn't what we want to hear, that's a part of the experience. Here we go. Let's see. Select comments. Editing bullet. There we go. Good. In their daily lives. Let me tell it to stop. There we go. So I'm going to attempt to read a business card.
But can you do it slowly?
Did it? Yeah, let me slow down here. Give me a second. Describe images, voices, characters, words, screen recognition, speaking rate, 70, 65, 60, 55, 50, 15, screen recognition, speaking rate, fifth menu. Okay. All right, perfect. Sorry, this thing went crazy on me. Here we go. So I'm going to point it at a piece of text, and then it's going to try to read it.
Game 180, 0M000, Jeffrey Cullen. Access Technology. 41500471161. Cullen at Lighthouse stored.
Okay, a couple of things here. So again, it depends on the lighting, it depends on all kinds of things, but that is a feature that here, let me do a better job of that.
Jeffrey Cullen, Director. Access Technology. 415 604 7368. Cullen at LightHouse SF.
Okay, so it likes to make mistakes, but that is okay. And sometimes it'll take a couple of tries, right? So this is a popular way to, for example, sort your mail. It's not something you want to use to read an entire document. As you see, it will make all kinds of fun mistakes.
It tells me my phone number.
It said it almost right. For some reason, the 9, it thinks it's a 0. But anyway, so it's quick text. It's basically, I really want to read that now. I want to know what that says. Maybe it's to read a sign. Maybe it's to sort your mail, like I said. So you just want to know where it's from and that's it really, and where it's coming from and who it's for, right? So that's really the use of that feature, just to read a short label, maybe something like that. It has other features as well, such as a document mode, where it takes a picture of a piece of paper or of a box or whatever you would like, and it then you're able to read the text. It's more accurate because it doesn't depend on how shaky your hand is or how clear the text is as it's trying to read it. Because with the quick text portion, it's going to do is it's going to try to read the minute it sees what it thinks is text. So I wanted to demo that app, and it's really useful app, very popular, and especially the feature that is quick text and the document feature, currency reader, and things like the light detector, things of that nature in that app are very popular. I would also like to demonstrate another app.
40 p.m. One notification.
Okay, I'd like to demonstrate another app, and I will again use Siri to open it, and it is Be My Eyes, and I'll be demonstrating that feature that we talked about. Yeah, taking the picture. So I'm going to go ahead and ask Siri to open it. Open Be My Eyes. Okay, so
Be My Eyes. Take picture button.
it has already opened to the camera. So I told it I wanted to open specifically into the Be My AI feature, and that's what it's done. So now,
Fernando, sorry to interrupt. Can you bring it closer to the microphone so we can hear it on Zoom?
absolutely, thanks. Okay, so I will take a photo of the same card and let's see what it says. Actually, I'll take a pic.
Here on,
Let's use Jeffrey here. Let's use here.
put like a percent.
I'm going to take a picture of Jeffrey. Smile. Look at me.
Okay.
Analyzing picture.
Okay, then it says analyzing picture, and let me know if it can be heard. Yeah. Here it is.
The image shows a man. Clear button.
Okay, it lost its focus, and I'll have it read it right now. So, well, first I want to say it said analyzing picture. So again, this takes a lot longer than it did for that short text. But here's what here's the result.
The image shows a man sitting on a red chair in what appears to be a conference or meeting room. He is holding a microphone and smiling, suggesting he might be speaking or preparing to speak. He is wearing a blue sweater and black pants. In the background, there are more red chairs and a large screen on the wall displaying a computer interface. The room has a modern design with a neutral color scheme and overhead lighting.
Okay.
Actions available.
So here, if I wanted to, I could actually go in and ask it questions, right? I could ask it to describe the man a little more, see if he's good looking or not.
You can also ask, for example, if you are on a place that you need to know how many people are or how many chairs. For example, you can ask how many chairs the application can see. It will try. Sometimes if you're looking for something on the floor and you're pointing at the floor, can you tell me, describe the things? Oh, I'm looking for a red thing that is on the floor, and then it will tell you. So.
Yeah, very cool. It's just, and that leads me to the last thing I want to demo, and that is.
Before you get into that, I want to share there's 2 minutes remaining.
Oh, perfect. I'll try to do that in 2 minutes. So, what I'd like to demo is the app Chat GPT, which a lot of the features that are in this app are going to be adopted by other applications, such as Be My Eyes, to be able to be. They're going to be used in certain ways. So, one of the things that is coming up in the future is having a real life conversation with the artificial or the AI, being able to just point your phone, say at the ground, and be like, I'm looking for this thing that should be on the floor, and it would be able to describe it. So this is not here yet, but it will eventually come. And I'd like to demo conversational, what a conversational experience will be like. So I'm going to ask Siri again to open Chat GPT, and I'm going to show you what voice mode sounds like. Open Chat GPT. Okay, so this is again, this is a mainstream app, but these features are going to be adopted by AT companies, and they're going to be used for different applications. So here I go. I'm going to go into voice mode. Hey, ChatGPT. I'm teaching a class I'm teaching a class about artificial intelligence in the world of access technology to a lot of people. So tell us a little bit about that in a few short words.
Sure. Artificial intelligence and access technology empowers visually impaired individuals by enhancing tools like.
Try to be a little more excited about the topic here.
Absolutely. Artificial intelligence and access technology is revolutionizing the way visually impaired individuals interact with the world. From smart screen readers to advanced image recognition, AI is making technology more accessible and user-friendly, opening up a world of possibilities.
Nice.
Artificial.
That's nice.
That's actually one of the things I want to talk about. So now it actually lets you interrupt it, which is really, really cool. So it's like you're talking to an actual human, which is a little interesting here. So if it hears someone talk, it will actually stop talking. It'll stop whatever it's saying, and it'll listen to you. So keep going. I wasn't really talking to you, machine.
That's a pretty neat feature. Being able to interrupt and have the conversation flow naturally makes it feel more like you're chatting with a real.
All right, so that's. Oh, well, it decided to stop.
Okay.
It decided to stop. So yeah, it is. It just showcases again. This is in a mainstream app that's available for everyone to use. But this kind of technology is what's going to come to a lot of the specialized apps in access technology that will allow for different features or different types of assistance and even more personalized assistance. So it is really exciting to think of what is coming. Jeffrey, did you want to?
No. And with that, no, I just wanted to ask. We started right at the beginning talking about having machines that will start thinking, right? And then we talk about the way that they sound at the beginning. If that doesn't sound like a real person talking to you, because it sounded like it, right? And even when you talk, can you be more excited? Absolutely, I can do that. So that's where we are heading, and it's incredible to see where the movement starts. And with that, we will now switch to the second part of our presentation. We will do a short panel. So I will leave you all with Juanita that will be helping us through that. And Fernando will come here to one of these, they said red chairs, is that correct? Orange? Okay, so this orange, one of these orange chairs, and we'll be talking about answering a few questions.
Awesome. See you guys on the panel.
All right.
Okay, let me know when you guys are ready.
Fernando, that is taking his time, taking forever and ever. He's coming. I'm trying to describe. I'm trying to be like like the audio description.
Jeffrey, out of curiosity, we have between 35 and 40 people on Zoom. How many people are there in person?
We have like 80. If
Wow.
well, no, no, we don't have too many people in person today because
Oh,
it was very cold in here, and I think that some of the people that probably signed to come here probably decided to just come on Zoom. But again, you're more than welcome to come for in the next one, and we will have snacks. We have wine here, so you can come, have a glass of wine, and talk with us about AI. Okay, ready, Juanita? We're ready for you.
awesome. Okay. So we have a series of questions for you guys to see, what your perspective is on some of these topics pertaining to AI.
Okay.
So the first question that we have is, from your perspective, what has been the most transformative milestone in AI's journey within Access Technology, and why do you think this moment stands above others? Let
Fernando,
me
you
know
want
if
to?
you need me to read the question again.
So, hello everyone. I'll tackle that one to begin. So, I say one of the most transformative aspects in artificial intelligence, and as specifically as it applies to access technology, is natural language processing. Right? It's it's a it's a term that we've used very commonly, but really only recently has become a reality, or it's starting to become a reality. And the reason I think that natural language processing is, or the reason I mentioned natural language processing, is because it enables those who aren't able to maybe use a keyboard, those who may have uh, different disabilities that affect speech, that can't use a very specific phrase to ask a question, and being able to still make use of uh, features such as Chat GPT, for example, like the one we just demoed, is really, really good to see. And a lot of companies, including Apple, are really leaning into this and are adding all kinds of features that really adapt to different speech patterns and things of that nature that are much more forgiving.
For me, I go with you on this one. I expand like the capacity of yes using that real language processing models, but also integrating voice, integrating that opportunity that a person, like you said, it could be forgiven, but it could be forgiven if I am talking to that and I am starting to uh, okay, okay, I got it. I wanted to ask you what is on for dinner tonight. So the capacity of having that conversation, understanding that the language model, even if I'm not using probably a proper language, not English native speaker, that can still understand me and works on that, and then answer me in a language that I understand, and I can continue asking questions. And even thinking about this, like for example, I did an assessment last week, and he was like a 75-year old person, and he told me, hey, I am curious, I'm always asking questions. So I just opened ChatGPT and post the voice model and told him, asked her the question, and then he heard it, and then he wanted to know about certain elements, and then ChatGPT gave a whole description about it, and he was like, wow. So that's what I'm thinking about, like a person that wanted to do this, that is alone, that maybe lose their sight, they maybe lose their sight recently and wants to do this. So that's where I'm hearing, like that's where my mind I'm hearing when that question.
Great. Thank you both for sharing. Okay, so the next question says, we've seen significant advances in visual and speech recognition, but there's always room to grow. What do you believe is the next frontier in AI for access technology, and what barriers still need to be overcome?
Next frontier. I think that the next frontier was okay. So for for us, right, where we are seeing this development right away, is I think that the next frontier is the ability for these language models to continue in being more inclusive. That we found a way that through text, right? Like a blind person can use it through voice. Like a person using eye gaze technology can use it and can ask questions and can understand, right? Like a deaf blind person using a braille display can ask the questions, can receive, can read those. Can, so the I think that that's what I would like to see this going, like to continue that inclusivity, to continue expanding on ways to for multiple and for cultural relevancies, right? Like people from another culture, people that basically are not exposed to this and they're thinking that this is something bad. So can we make it in a simple way that everybody can benefit from this, including different cultures and different people with diverse cultural backgrounds and with diverse abilities. So that's how I see it.
So for me, one that I really want to highlight in terms of what is the next frontier is adaptability, right? So for me, um, thinking of apps, for example, in the world of access technology, that are designed to provide visual interpretation, um, such as Be My Eyes, for example, having a feature that enables you to customize how you receive the type of input you receive, right? Do you want a very generic description? Do you want something more specific? Right, being able to tailor it to your specific needs is really one of the one. I think it is very much a contender for the next frontier. One more that I have though is um, real time virtual assistants. Again, thinking of something like Be My Eyes, but this time rather than using it to communicate with a human in real time. Rather, you use the Be My AI feature, but in real time, you speak to it. Say you're getting on a train, for example, and you want to find an open seat. Right now, your options are you call a volunteer and you do it that way, or you take a picture of as many seats as you can and you're like, okay, let me see, are any of these seats empty, right? Then it responds to you. You're sitting there, someone's coming up to you, they're asking you if you need help, all this, all that.
And then when you finally analyze the picture, like multiple people already have been sitting there.
Right. So maybe it was empty when you took it, but not anymore. So the next frontier could be My Eyes having a feature, or other apps, even built-in native apps, having it to your smartphone, having the feature to immediately have an AI, such as something like the Chat GPT voice model, for example, and be able to speak to it directly. Just show it a live video feed and say, "Hey, are you able to see any open seats as of right now?" And it say, "Hey, there's an empty seat to your right. A couple of seats ahead to the left, there's an empty seat." Something like that. So that is the next frontier, and that's really the biggest contender.
Or then a little bit of joke or telling the next person out there, I just moved. That seat is for a blind person, so move away. No, don't do that, please. Yes.
Great. Okay. So I do see a few things here in the chat. People are asking when will they be able to ask questions? So I just want to remind everyone, we will be having a Q&A session after the panel discussion. where you will be able to unmute and ask questions.
And Juanita, we only have like 2 more questions left, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
We have about 3.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So we'll see how many we can get through. Okay, so the next question is how do you see AI shaping the lives of people with disabilities beyond the present applications? What potential do you see for AI to fundamentally change the nature of accessibility in society?
I would like to tackle that one. I think that especially in regards to accessibility, and we are seeing this already. So we are seeing AI helping like web page creating, analyzing lots of items to see if there is something missing on the code to make the web page accessible. We are seeing it even for programming using, and by the way, we will be doing a programming session on Zoom talking about this on the Zoom on the CES UN conference on season. We'll be talking about how to use Python, NVDA screen readers, and AI for this. But talking about that, how can you use uh, um, an AI model to help, like for example, programmers that doesn't have a well, there are not well versed in accessibility to decide a better accessible environment to to work out some of the things that needs to be considered that they might not be even thinking. So using AI for that, for example, you're designing an inclusive environment. You're working of creating a business that you will get people in there. Like how to, as an engineer, you can use that to see if what about if I do this? How can I accommodate a wheelchair, or how can I accommodate? So having that to talk about designing accessible environments, I think that this is something that AI will definitely be able to provide and will help in where we are right now. I think that one answer would be good for that one, probably, because we are drawing short of time. Right. Yeah, what do you think, Juanita? We could go with the next one, or do you want?
Let me add a few
So
things.
we have about 7 minutes. Maybe we can do one more question, or we can have Fernando answer, and then we could do one more question after this.
Perfect. I'll be concise.
Okay.
So, one of the areas I see fundamental change with, in taking AI into consideration is not, of course, high tech data analysis and stuff like that, making it more accessible to more people, right? Being able to analyze a table, analyze graphs, things of that nature, but also I see fundamental change in areas that are like, for example, guidance systems, right, that are able to use artificial intelligence to detect obstacles and things of that nature, allowing people to use different types of mobility devices to navigate around, navigate their environment. So that's another fundamental area in which I see a lot of change and a lot of positive change. So that's really the thing I wanted to add there.
And I think that that's very important. Thank you for that, Fernando, especially like with the Glide device that is already out there. The guys that came today and talked to us, the WeWalk came, so they're using AI to basically that. So is thank you for that. Right.
All right, great. Thank you. So I'm curious, I'm really curious about your responses on this question. So this will be our last question, and then we can move on to the Q&A section. So looking back over your careers, how has your own understanding of AI and access technology changed? What are some of the most surprising lessons you've learned along the way?
Oh, that's a great question. Like we talked at the beginning, right? We are seeing the right. And today we discussed that, like the evolution of AI, right? When we started and when we are now, when we talk about reading text and wait 3 minutes to read like one line of the page, and where we are now, and we're seeing that, and that's fine. And but also like seeing more people using it, seeing my mom using some of this stuff, like being people like using Zoom, right? Like in the pandemic, like if you ask, like you can ask probably 50 blind blind people, have you used in 2019? Have do you wanted to participate for a conference that will talk about a screen reader, but you have to do it remotely from your home? And so are you in for that? And you in for just using your iPhone to get there? And probably people will tell you no, doesn't work. That's not for me. So same for iPhones, right? I don't wanted to use the iPhone. So I think that that's even a lesson that I take. Like somebody, the things that you're not thinking when you hear it at the beginning. Apple is developing a Apple is developing a touchscreen device that will be used to access information that will allows you to get text. And I said that won't work for me as a blind person. So and sometimes because we all have our biases. So I think that that is one of the lessons learned, right? Like sometimes we need to see these disruptive things. Like if you think about even in the past, like I will give you an example: calculators. Those things were disrupting at the beginning. Professors don't want students to use those, and now they are an integral part of a class, right? So that's where we are trying to see the community like telling, hey, when you think about AI, you think about something, try to look at with a different mindset. Try to look at with the thinking of I want to see what we can do instead of trying to see the limitations. And of course, some privacy concerns that we need to make sure that are there, ethics that are very important. But I think that that's where I'm seeing like embrace it in a positive way and give with yourself because the opportunity, because if you give yourself an opportunity, then you can help another person, somebody else.
So for me, one of the lessons really is don't underestimate the capabilities, right? We always, I mean, to this day, we've thought, oh, this is not going to be possible, or this is going to be very much, far in the future, things of that nature. But we've only seen that this is happening and it's happening quicker. So, right, we're seeing that um, processing of information is happening a lot quicker, enabling a lot of different things, a lot of different, it's just thinking about just the endless possibilities that are now becoming a thing, a reality, because of the power of computing, because of making computer systems more efficient, things of that nature. I mean, everything that we could imagine in terms of access technology is possible, right? And really, it's my biggest thing is let's allow ourselves to dream. Of course, artificial intelligence technology is not perfect, right? And there are critics out there, and they have make really, really good points. And it's very important to address those when it comes to privacy concerns, when it comes to data collection, when it comes to different things like that, and the ethics associated. It is very important to address those. And if we're going to do it right, they need to be addressed. But it is important to dream and to hope for the future and just imagine what a world will be like in the future with the technology that is coming up.
All right. So with that, we are moving to our Q&A section. So I know that we have some questions from the chat, and we have some questions here. I hope that this mic works. Let me see. One, two, three, four. No, this one. Okay, yeah, this one is working. So if let's start with a question on Zoom. So then we will start alternating, okay? So Juanita will start working on allowing people to unmute themselves so they can ask us questions. But in the meantime, um, let's see. Juanita, you wanted to the first question in here so you can have opportunity to unmute and work in the chat. Do we do that?
Yes, so would you like for them to ask their question in the chat and then I can invite them to unmute?
People can do it on the chat, or if now we can also give the opportunity for them to unmute themselves and ask us the
Okay,
question
okay,
using the
give
raise.
me one
We can also use the raise hand feature on Zoom. So if
Yes.
you're on a computer, you can use Alt plus Y. On a Mac, Option plus Y. The reactions, if you are using a phone or on the tablet, you can go to reactions and also raise your hand. So we can do it in either way. So with that, let's see if we can get a question from Zoom. One, two.
Okay, so Marcia has her hand raised. I'm gonna invite her to unmute now.
Marshall? We're getting some difficulties. Hey.
Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay. What as wonderful as AI is, and I do applaud what we're doing with this, but where I have to say, as the Latin says, quo vadis, where are we going? Because what I see happening, if it is not carefully regulated, is that AI can do an awful lot of short circuiting those very centers of the brain, namely Broca center, where the language processing is stored, and where other areas of the stored that works with sociality. In other words, connecting with a, dare I say it, human being.
Yeah. Yeah, we understand, Marcia. And I think that this is some of the things that they're working on, and we will talk more on the next conferences. But for example, there have been some conversations that are happening to make sure that those things are covered, conversations between leaders of different countries, and putting some limits and make sure that these are doing through the correct channels, and trying to limit. And we're talking about very on the like dark markets, like making sure that they're not using like mining and and other things like Ethereum and some other currencies to do thing on legal business with AI and also all of this stuff. But the reality is that this is correct. And these are the things that we need to make sure. And I think that the world needs to work on it. So one thing is help, and the other is taking ownership of your mind. And we don't want that.
So I'd like to add a little about that. I'd like to call it more guardrails and limitations, because we don't want to limit it. We want to give it we want to give it, we want to guide it in a particular direction. We want artificial intelligence to be ethical. And really, one of the things with emergent technologies, artificial intelligence is really the buzzword nowadays. But this has happened with all new technologies: is how do we regulate it in a way that becomes beneficial, right?
Yep.
And that is a very good concern to have. But I believe that one of the ways to influence that is by utilizing it, giving feedback, expressing your concerns, things of that nature. So very, very good question.
Thank you, Marshall.
Okay, so the next person that has a question is Raj. Raji
Hi,
H.
hi, yeah. So I'm a question regarding how I know it's more like an extreme condition where I see that this is helping people's quality of life, and in some cases where like if you have autistic people who had eyesight before, who are well versed with devices like iPads and iPhones, but for some reason they lost their vision and now they're legally blind. How can these population, maybe very small, but how can they be attracted to these AI technology to help them navigate their environment, find things, see what's in front of them, get used to this kind of thing, just like they got used to using iPads and this thing. Who is doing this kind of things? What's the forum where we can get this kind of things going? And because I see this as a very helpful.
Oh, thank you for that. Rosh, right? Did I get, if I get the name correctly?
Yeah, this is Pramod.
Ramon.
Yeah.
Actually, Fernando and myself are completely blind. So we are using this, and this is helping our entire community, right? Like we are seeing lots of blind people, and I will go more remote, and I will say like even we have colleagues that are deaf blind, and that uses this technology to get information, to store information, to read their mail, to describe the pictures, to describe the scenes. So this is already happening, and we want even more.
Yeah, great. Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Just how it can be used for a certain population who are, on the autism spectrum, verbal, but are not able to know how to work with this technology, and how can that be taught, or who is doing this kind of work so that they can benefit slowly.
No, definitely. And I agree with that. And we're seeing it, right? Because like we talked, this is right. We focus this one more on blind and low vision community because this is the community, right, that we serve at the Lighthouse. But we are seeing this everywhere, right? We are seeing this with
Right.
other learning models, like using this to simplify tasks for people that needs to learn visually, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying that, as part of the technology assessment of such people that Lighthouse tries to do, can that be added to how they can be, adapt to this technology?
Yes, definitely. That's a good suggestion. And we have users that are in the spectrum that we definitely always are considering, right? Like we consider all of the potentials that this technology can bring to all of the users. Of course.
Sorry, the last question is how can we get our family member who is undergoing through this kind of disability that I talked about to get a technology assessment at the Lighthouse Vision?
Sure. Send us an email to info@lighthouse. Info@lighthouse dash the minus sign dash SF as in San Francisco.org.
Okay, thank you. We're already clients, but we'll pursue this.
Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Right. Juanita, I wanted to pause to see if people that are here have some questions. So we'll take one question here on the, yes, Corbin, I'm going to you. Let me see. This is, there you go. Corbin? Yep. There you go.
Testing. Okay, right. So yeah, wanting to get your thoughts on what you think is the limiting factor in more widespread, more rapid, more pervasive adoption of the AI technology within the blind and low vision community?
I'd like to start with that one. I believe that a lot of it has to do with concern for negative impact or for unethical situations, right? And also lack of exposure. Really, that's what it is. So it's a new technology, and with the new technology comes a lot of skepticism. We tend to want to do things the way we've always done them, and when there's a new technology that's introduced, although it may simplify certain tasks, it really challenges us to do it differently, and it challenges us to think about different types of implications, and that is something that a lot of people aren't comfortable with.
I'm also thinking that this is also why we're here today, right? Like talking about it, like spreading the word. I think that is more of an education, right? It's like we talked at the beginning, like the iPhone example, right? Like some people needed to see that this is really will work for me, right? I'm hearing all of the things, but if I cannot make, and this is a challenge for me as an educator, and it's a challenge for my team, how can we communicate the message to my instructors to let our community know that how can we make as a teacher this relevant to them, relevant to them and their communities, and that's by education. This is by understanding what are their needs and see where we can have AI to help, like the example that we do in the assessment that we did last week. So how and this is where we are right now, and this is where we are moving as a team, right? And as an organization, like making sure we heard the feedback that our community is giving us, and for us to a challenge to challenge ourselves to make this relevant to them. That's why we are here today. But the great question, Corbin. Okay, let's do another question one here. Let's see. Somebody have a question here in person? Yes. See. Oh, no, this one probably. Yeah, this one is better.
Hello. Yeah. So how effective are these AI?
Can you say your name, please?
Yeah, I'm Sai Teja. Sai Teja. You can call me Teja.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Teja.
So my question is, I have two questions. So my question is, how effective are these AI platforms in darker environments?
In what?
Darker environments. In dark.
How effective are the question is how effective are these technologies in dark environments?
Yes.
Oh.
It in terms of the photo analysis aspect of it, or what is it that
Yes. Yes.
well, that's a really good question. So if you're working with an application that uses images, right, and then sends them to the cloud for description, it's going to be very much tied to the quality of the image, which is directly related, correlated to lighting, for example. So if the image is too bright or too dark, it's not going to work out that well. But the really good thing is that modern phones are able to take really good photographs, even in suboptimal lighting conditions. So even if the room looks a little dark, or you think that it's too dark for that image, it's actually able to use the computer processing in the phone itself to actually use as much light from around it to actually get a really well lit image. So the answer is it depends on the quality of the image, but low lighting is not as much of a problem as it used to be for phones nowadays.
I think that like Fernando said, based on the capabilities of the device, like for example, when you use Face ID, now you can do that in the dark, and it works. So that's an example there that even in low light conditions, Face ID will be able to unlock your phone. I have done it. So yeah, sure.
Got it. Got it. Also, what do you feel about RFID and NFC technology? RFID tags. Yeah.
Our RFID, just a quick answer on that one. I believe it's very, very useful. There's a lot of technologies that use RFID or NFC. A lot of technologies use NFC for identification of RFID for identifying tags and giving them titles, and NFC for a lot of applications as well. So very, very useful.
And we're seeing AI using those. Like for example, there are, it's called wayfinding. Yeah, and the weight tag, I think that it calls weight tags, if I'm not mistaken, that there are labels that use it NFC to basically a blind person can attach it to their clothing, or like to different items, and then they can use their phones to identify and to use machine learning to identify what item is that, and then you can expand and use AI to describe more about items. So basically, you are maybe, I'll give you an example. If AI at its best, you use the RFI to identify an item and the a clothing, and then you can ask AI which type of event this clothing is. Like this is better suited for a night event, day event, and it could give you some examples of that.
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much. Okay,
Any more questions in the room? One more question. Go
okay.
ahead.
Yeah. I this is
Okay.
Corbin again. This is
Mhm.
got another question. So it used to be that it used to say that when you lose your sight, you also lose a hand, right? And the idea was that you lose it to having to hold a cane in your hand. Now with AI, it seems like you're losing two hands because you have to end up holding a cane in one hand
Good.
and the phone in the other hand to be able to navigate around. So what are your thoughts in terms of like freeing up our hands and getting them back?
That's a good one, Corbin. Wow, I like when our staff give us punches there. Let me throw a jab at Jeffrey. Let me throw. No, this is great. Basically, thank you. Okay. Let me turn it off. Okay, so let me think about. Okay, when I have an answer for you. They were here today. We walk. There are now canes that are integrating AI, and then basically on the canes handle, you can use to manipulate your voiceover on your phone, and then you can use a Bluetooth device to communicate. And the cane has in the top, it has a speaker, so you can ask questions. Hey, can you give me walking directions to this place? Maybe you were working, you know the route, but now, oh, I want to get some coffee. So you can now ask even your cane as a blind user. And the cane is called We Walk. They were here today, and that's one. And so we are now integrating even AI capabilities into our canes. Next thing, probably they will integrate something into my guide dogs handle. I don't know what we are hearing there, but no. Also seriously, like you can also use learners to basically hold your phone against your chest, and like if you need your to free up your hands. But obviously like other bone conduction technologies like headphones, so there are some alternatives that you can include. Oh, and always like with making sure that we follow the secure parameters that Owen specialists will tell us, right? So but I think that this is really possible.
I'd like to add a little to that. So, but what I want to say is you don't have to lose a hand and the other hand because it's now integrating into other technologies, like Jeffrey said, the WeWalk, Bluetooth as well. There's different ways of interacting with these technologies, and there's even and there will be in the future ways that you can use, for example, some of these apps or some of these apps with your smart glasses, for example. So you may not even have to hold that phone in your hand to get questions answered about your environment from an AI. You can just use your smart glasses. So there's many different ways.
Yep.
And yeah, that's what I wanted to add to that.
Okay, Juanita, take us to few more questions in Zoom. I know that we are closer to the limit for the meeting, but I would like to see if we have more questions on Zoom that I imagine we have.
Yes, we have quite a few. Not sure if we're gonna be able to answer all of them.
Try to answer very short. Let's see.
Okay, so the next question is by Lawrence Carew, and the question in the chat says, where can developers who are disabled participate in the development of or guidance?
Could you repeat the question?
Yes. So it says, where can developers who are disabled participate in the development or guidance? I'm guessing of AI.
Okay, got it. Yeah, we're seeing that. We're seeing blind developers there are some forums, some information that you can get about how to use the API features for accessibility in different applications like Apple and Android. So there are Android articles that you can use to start developing accessible environments. There are also programs that are creating like the Python console on NVDA that allows blind programmers to start using screen reading to start working with their first codes. So yes, we are seeing more blind and low vision programmers taking part of this, and now that we have the AI features, the Apple Intelligence, I think that also those will be integrated into the API for developing apps. So that's where we're heading with that. Okay, next one.
I wanted to just also you really quickly in about 10 seconds say that the new large language models allow for you to use code correction and things of that nature features in their services to be able to correct code and build apps more easily. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Right. Let's take one more question on Zoom and then one more question on here. And also, if you have questions that you want to ask us, we have an email that we will give everybody. Is AT as in Access Technology at lighthouse
sf.org.
at lighthouse-sf.org, and you can send us the questions in there. I know that we are closing time, so one more question. And one more question here too.
Okay, so we have somebody by the name of iPhone who's had their hand raised for a while.
Okay.
Yes,
If you can identify yourself, please.
this is Catherine. Wonderful, wonderful workshop. Thank you so very much. I've learned a lot. And my question for this evening is, how can we learn to use AI to take better photos and videos ourselves when we can't see, but we want to, let's say we go somewhere for the day, like traveling, or we go somewhere on vacation, and we want to be the ones to take the video. What are some of the exciting developments that you can tell us about that will enable us to take better pictures and videos?
Great.
Oh yeah, this is a really good question. Thank you very much. So, there's a lot of different features nowadays that enable someone who is blind or has low vision, right, to take better photos and better videos, and that is all mainly built into your phone, whether you have an iPhone or whether you have an Android. If you have your screen reader enabled, it uses on-device intelligence, and it uses the sensors that are built into your phone in combination, and it gives you information about whether you're leaning your phone too far to the left, too far to the right. It also gives you information about the objects in your image, right? So it tells you if it sees a face, if it sees multiple faces. One day it told me I had 30 faces in a frame. I don't know how exact that was, but at least it told me there were multiple. And it gives you all kinds of information about that. Once you take that photo, you're also able to get a description of it. With Apple Intelligence, you'll be able to ask it, how good is the lighting in this photo? This is not yet out yet, but how clear is it? Is it a blurry photo? Things like that you'll be able to ask. So you'll be able to do all you'll be able to do all of that. And same with videos, right? Stabilizing video and stuff like that, all built into your phone.
I think
Thank
that
you.
leave it here. Thank you so much. I thank you all for coming again. Next one is on December 12th. December 12th, 5:30 p.m. We will be there. So come here and visit us. And if not, join us remotely on Zoom. But thank you so much for being with us tonight and for let us talk about the journey of AI. And thanks everybody that have been here with us to the end. Thanks a lot. Thanks everyone. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Leave me.